with a master's degree in computer applications. His research focuses on affordable automated technologies, catering to bottom of the pyramid markets. His expertise in blue economy technology has secured substantial grants and funding as a startup founder. And he is also a notable startup coach. He has mentored many winning student startup teams to both national and international competitions in hackathon. He himself is a champion and a finalist in various startup pitching competition and hackathons, namely USAID Hackathon Challenge 2019, the BFAR Karagathon Challenge 2020, DOST Agri Aqua Challenge 2022, Angel Hack, Tech Planter Deep Tech Competition 2022, Globe Future Makers, Geek on the Beach Pitching Competition, and Tectonics Pitching Competition. He is also listed as a top innovator in the World Economic Forum Uplink Innovators for his work as a winner in the International Blue Food Challenge. His startups are majority in the innovations in blue economy. Ladies and gentlemen, our resident speaker, Engineer Jugenis Pasco. Good morning, Sir Jugs.
Good morning, everyone. So, fine day for each and everyone, and we welcome the cohorts for this nine cohort of the CDO Bytes incubation program. And hopefully by today we'll be able to have a great session. Okay. So shall we start now? Shall we start already, ba? Or that's for the lessons. Hi, may ako audio. Is my audio audible or clear? Let me just adjust my audio. Okay. So I hope that's clear, no? Okay. Okay. So, again, welcome each and everyone. Let me just share my screen. Okay. So I hope you can see my screen. Okay. So our topic for today is on business modeling with a lean canvas and business model canvas. So let me see a raise of hands. But before I go to the presentation, I would just like to see if everyone is present. And I do request that each one, okay, of our startups have an introduction of what their startup is and what are the solutions that they have. Just a quick one so that I can know my audience and we can deal with how I want my lecture today to be connected well with the startups that is being incubated. Okay. Elaine, can we call each and everyone to at least say hi and introduce yourselves, and of course the startups that you are trying to create. So can we start?
Okay, let's start. Una ta kay sa akong screen ni Sir Marvy Centropic.
Centropic.
I-open imong mic, Sir Mar.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, hinay kay volume si ang kay engineer. Di kay ko kadungog.
Ano daw, Sir Mar? Mag-introduce daw ka sa imong self and imong startup. About sa imong startup.
Okay, so ang startup na mo, we are regenerative farmers. Gibuild mi og forest and food. We're trying to use the latest robots or machines para naturally grown tanan natong vegetables or fruits and even cacao into chocolates.
What's the name of your startup, Gane?
Syntropic acceleration.
Syntropic Accelerator. Okay, Syntropic. Okay. Next.
Next, Sir Rick, ay tago up.
Good morning. Maklaro ra ba? Kay medyo hinay ra ba ang akong connection? Okay ra. Okay. Maayong buntag, sir, engineer. Ako dai si Rick Suazo, the founder and CEO of Itago app. Itago is essentially the Airbnb for storage and parking. We're trying to solve the problem of space sa kanabitang storage and parking, and also people who want to earn from their extra space.
Okay. Nice.
Airbnb for storage and parking.
Airbnb for storage. That's the value proposition. So, Tago. Thanks, Tago. Next.
Next one is Jojo, rabbit jerky.
Okay, rabbit jerky.
Sir Jo, rabbit jerky. Nakamute pa. I-on ang mic.
Kaya dungog ra ka, ma'am?
Okay na.
Okay po. Hi, sir. Si Pani pa, Sir Jojo Abelia. Ang akong startup is Rabbit Jerky. So, gahimo mi og snacks nga similar to beef and pork jerky. And margahimo mig another option for the bodybuilders sa gym o sa mga health enthusiasts.
Okay, so new options.
Yes
Okay,
po.
next. Rabbit jerky. Next.
Right, next, Sir Jules, Sakrit.
Hi, sir. Good morning. I'm Jules Mercado from KIT. And KIT is basically a Filipino version of TikTok. But since, madunggal na ba ko?
Yes, Madunggan.
Madunggal na? Okay. Sige. KIT is a Filipino version of TikTok. But then, I realized that I cannot tackle them head on. So, I'm using a strategy wherein mag-start ako sa pag-create of niche specific virtual events through the use of event organizers, through the use of collaboration, and then makabuild out the speaker. So, hopefully ma-understand mo sa laman.
Okay.
Okay, so next is Monique from Nutrigo.
Good morning. Naray audio, ma'am. So,
Yes, ma'am. Klaro ra.
good morning, everyone. Morning, sir. I am Monique Emmeline Ratonel, a representative from Nutrigo, a startup which turns granola bars. Instead of using granola, we've used mung bean, which is locally sourced and abundant here in our province. Thank you po.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, next is Iara from Newgen.
Good morning po. Am I audible?
Yes.
Good morning, Engineer Pasqua. It is nice seeing you again po. I am Iara from Newgen Technologies. Our startup is all about developing a personal safety device for women, namely Peachy. Thank you po.
Peachy. Okay.
Okay, next is Sir Paul from Potra.
Morning, Poltra.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning. Hi, sir. Paul, sir, founder of POTruck. POTruck, sir, is a centralized RFID-based pet tracking and vaccination system designed for cities and municipalities po. Thank you.
Right. The next one is Sir Arnold from Trax.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Engineer Eugene. My name is Arnold. The name of my ideation is Trax. It's a mobile platform. Well, basically, nag-start po siya kasi isa po kasi akong truck operator before. So, that is for 4 years po kaming nagta-tracking. And unfortunately, sinara ko na po yung business ko na yun since kasi hindi po siya profitable on my side. And during that tenure, doon ko po nalaman yung problem ng mga truck operator at saka ng mga truck driver and backload owner. Wherein, ang hirap po ng matching ng paghanap po ng backload. Yung trucks po kasi is principle niya is more of Uber and Grab. Ang difference lang po is that yung sa amin is product ang dinideliver namin, wherein ang Grab at saka ang Uber is mga tao. So basically yun po yung pinaka-gist ng Trucks Mobile.
Okay.
Thank you
Nice.
so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next is Miss Ariane from Arsenia.
Medyo nag-glare akong camera. Hi, good morning. Sir, my startup is Artisan Soaps. So, part sa akong gina-showcase is Northern Mindanao local ingredients.
Okay. Local ingredients.
Apo.
Okay. Okay. So,
Naa pa si POTruck, Sir Jugs.
oh, I think POTruck has already done.
Ay, mana ako, ma'am. Pwede ba tulungan ako, ma'am?
Pwede. I'm not sure. Kaya nag-effort na ka ganina. So, next is si Sir Romeo from Andana.
Dana.
Sorry. I will be introducing Andana. Am I audible right now in public space kasi evacuate ko sa balay because brown out? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So, hello, good morning, everyone. It's nice to meet you again, Engineer Pasqua. To introduce Andana, we are creating a mobile application, a gamified mobile application that teaches kids how to read through elements of gamification to make it more engaging, including stories from our Filipino culture to make it more adaptable sa ato ang Filipino na audience. And it is our hope to improve readability within kids with low reading levels. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next Sir Jugs is Sir John from SafeTag.
So, sir, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Dunggan ka, sir. So, good morning, everyone. My name is SafeTag. So, technically, we're working on solving HIV cases here in the Philippines. So,
HIV.
ang ginabuhat is we're doing we're doing health verification for peer-to-peer health verification, and then also health. Wait lang. We're working also like health information system, sir, for the
Health
HIV
information.
on anonymous. Sir, thank you.
Okay. So safe tag is more on the HIV, no? HIV cases prevention. Okay.
Sir.
Okay. We still have one?
Okay, so napa si Aida? Na si Nap Dani.
Si Aida.
Okay, murag wala man. Kanina lang ka flavors na lang, Ma'am Elsie from
Flavors
Flavors.
of Bukidnon. Wow.
Yes. Hi, Engineer Pasqua. This is Elsie. I'm the owner slash CEO slash sa paman, product developer and slash laborer sa akong startup company.
All in one, huh? All in
So,
one.
yes. So, Flavors of Bukidnon, it was established in 2025. So, gikan ko sa Singapore for 15 years. And
Okay.
then, in 2024 of October, ni uli ko dire. And then, I created this product na nag-specialize on health and wellness. So, akong mga products yun is more on probiotic products. So, karon is akong na-develop karon na product is ang kaning water kefir.
Oh, okay. What?
So yeah, water kefir, it's somewhat like yogurt pero non-milk based. So hopefully in the future it can compete with the local or kana bitaw mga commercial soft drinks na naa sa atong market like Coca-Cola, Pepsi. So hopefully ang akong startup is maka-gain of just a tiny bit of chunk ana na group sa sitawag ani sa kanang tiny bit of chunk sa kanang mga soft drink drinkers diri sa Pilipinas.
Wow.
So that's the goal there.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Nice.
right, so now
Interesting.
lastly, James from Traveler.
Traveler.
Hey everybody. Good morning, engineer. So, Traveler, we are an app that helps people streamline their travel. So, Vale, you can see where you plan to go and then also book at the same time, hopefully in the future. So, yeah, it's good to meet your acquaintance sir, and hopefully dagan migmatunan sa imo today. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Interesting. Okay.
That's all. I think that's all, Sir Jules.
Okay. So thank you, no, for sharing. No, at least I now have a grasp of who you are, and basically, what I'm interested is
You want to sit there?
what's the value proposition that you are offering. In other words, what are the offerings that you are offering to your customer? But again, let me share my screen first. Okay. Okay. So our topic for today is business modeling with a lean canvas and business model canvas. So this canvases has been our bread and butter for the last 6 years during our lectures, also for our students, as well as here in CDO Bytes. The central portion usually of every cohort, that means we introduce the business model canvas, which is a central canvas that simplifies business creation, particularly for budding startups. Okay, and lean canvas or business model canvas, these are canvases that you can find in the internet, and there's a lot of topics all about it. But one thing I have realized that usually, particularly in USTP as well as in other courts in our lecture, whenever they fill up the business model canvas or the lean canvas, they do it academically, wherein they just fill in those blanks and then sometimes invent something just for the heck of it, that I can come up with a model canvas right away. And most of the time, this is done rapidly and without knowing exactly what's the implications of a bad business model or a good business model, and how important this tool is. So by today's session, please bear with me. medyo if dili mo anad, I'm a faculty. I'm a teacher in USTP na, and I teach entrepreneurship also. So just hit me if I become too academic because we have that tendency na. But I will try my best not to be as academic as possible, and let's just make it as a kumbaga conversational uh, session, no? So I want it to be informal. And if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hands or just raise your voice if you want. You can interrupt me anytime, no? So that you can understand fully, no? But what I'm promising today is that at least at the end of this session, hopefully you'll be able to understand and realize how good business model, okay, be it in a canvas, can be used to like, increase your traction or increase your business or make your business so viable. Okay, so let's start with. But for our agenda today, of course, we're going to talk about. Of course, this is about business model and lean model canvas. But before we could start, we need to understand first the two concepts, which is the value and what is a value and what is value as a currency. Then, of course, we're going to introduce lean model canvas and then business model canvas. And the last portion of our topic is the assessing of your business models. Okay, so now let's come up with this saying that the number one reason why products fail. Okay, so all of you are startups, and some of you are in the later stage, and some in the early stage, and some are in the concept stage. Now, most startups spend needless time, money, and effort building something nobody wants. So, aray na. Alright, sakit kayo na siya. Okay. We have a startup, we have an idea, I have a product, and then because I love to see it through, no? I can see the passion in some of you, and as in Flavors of Bukidnon said, she wants na one of these days her beverages will be able to compete with the mainstream beverages that is found in the mall. Okay, and that's the vision usually of our startups, and we are creating a new product. No? But most of the time, 90% of startups fail because they spend a lot of time, money, and effort building something that, in the end of the day, nobody really wants. So we have the illusion usually that this is the next big thing. But when you go out and try to market your product already, it turned out that the sales are minimal, the sales are discouraging, and you will realize the last part that I realized that nobody really wants my product. It's just me who wants the product. No? So that's a sad thing. No? So how can we avoid this pitfall? No? And this is the number one reason why products fail. That is related to what we call value. So what is value? No? So once again, siyang value. Okay. So for example, I always use this as a good example. Coca-Cola. Okay, so feel free to comment. No? Okay. What value can we get from Coca-Cola? Anyone? So I just comment out, no? Thirst our quench our thirst. It's a drink that is able to satisfy our needs. And some say Coca-Cola is being brought because it's something that has a good sensation in the throat. But most of the time, we just use Coca-Cola for parties, for special occasions. And as well for catering, di gid mawala ang Coca-Cola or soft drinks. And sometimes Coca-Cola is being used as a means of saying na social ang imuhang celebration. And most of the time, Coca-Cola is being spent or put in the table whenever there's a celebration. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Syntropic. No, we buy Coca-Cola because no choice, no better alternative na affordable. No. Also, you get diabetes from Coca-Cola. So, Ma'am Elsie Cavan, so it's health conscious. Okay. But if I'm going to ask each and everyone, either Coca-Cola or Pepsi, let's face it, no? This is our most favorite drink, I think, all over the world, right? And sometimes our day is not complete if I don't have a Coca-Cola in my city. So suffice to say, we buy Coca-Cola because we value it. Okay. From the word, what are the things or what are the benefits that I will get when I buy a Coca-Cola? Okay. Some, they say it will quench my thirst, but in reality, it's not. No? It's ang tubig ang makaquench quench sa thirst. No? But some will say, because of the good feeling, because of the companionship, because if you have a Coca-Cola, the conversation and the lunch or dinner is much more enjoyable. Okay. So the value that we get from Coca-Cola is that it's not because of the drink, but because of the feelings, no? Because of something that's inherent in Coca-Cola that offers, so that I'm willing to buy it and consume it, right? Okay. So there's value here. So value is somehow complex and not as, kumbaga, not as defined correctly, but it has something to do with the feelings we have when we consume or buy or hire a service. Okay. Now, about what are the values that you can get from GCash or Food Panda? Okay, so can you use the chat if you want to know. So from GCash, we know that in GCash, this is for convenience, right? Easy. Tapos some even use it for quick money transfer. Yes, convenient. No to go, no? Okay, Food Panda is of course again convenience, more food choices. Okay, saves time, right? Okay, and if you are lazy, sometimes ginatapulantas o mag-Food Panda na lang ta. No? Okay, so again, the value that we get from GCash and Food Panda is something is for convenience and also for nourishment, for example, right? And GCash also for time savings. No, that's the value that we get. In other words, we can take a value as something like a benefit for our customer, right? So for Angkas and Grab, again, convenience, transparency, of course, in Angkas, time savings, and sometimes kung gadali ka na, the best way to go to your office is Angkas because of the nature of motorcycle that's able to run through traffic, through the sides. No? Although quite dangerous at sometimes, but people do hire those. No? So we are talking of value that is something like a complex thing that we get whenever we buy or hire a product or a service, and we pay for the value that we get, right? Now, because whenever we have a value, we are paying for it. So, di mo pwede nga dito magbayad. Na? So, another explanation for value is currency. Kumbaga, mura siya kwarta, right? Okay. Value is currency. Now, we have the concept of legibility of currencies. Now, not all currencies, not all kwarta is cash, right? Okay. So, ang pinaka common currency is cash, or that means that's the most legible. Legible means dali siya exchange, right? And whenever we get value, we pay for it. So we can say that value is actually equivalent to currency. Okay. So whenever we want a value, we pay for it. And the most legible, kumbaga, pinaka-convenient, ang pinakadali ma-exchange na kwarta is of course cash, right? But of course, olden times, wala man sila cash, so ang tawag nila barter trade, no? Pulihan na eh. I can remember, may magsuroy sa una nga nagdala og mga fruits, no, gikan sa farm. So pagsuroy nila, dili sila modawat og cash, kundi dawat sila shampoo, dawat sila toothpaste, dawat sila pagkaon po in exchange, no? Or dilata in exchange for saging, in exchange for kamote, no? So that's barter trade. But still, ang gamit nilang currency is not cash but sort of like goods. So what I'm saying is that value is considered currency, right? But currency is not only cash. Okay, currency can also be in the form of goods. It can be in the form of services. Can be a form of time. And the highly eligible currencies, that means non-eligible, that means dili siya matawag na obvious cash, is the non-legible currencies. What are they? We have energy, willpower, and relationships. Although energy, that means ang kusog, ang health itself is a non-legible cash. are considered currency, right? Okay. So when we talk of value, it helps that we think of value as quarta or currency. And based on this, currencies can be the most legible one is cash, and but also currency can be in the form of goods, services, time. So time is considered currency, na? Reputation is considered a currency. Health and energy, right? So sometimes we don't have cash, but we just pay it for services, right? And sometimes we buy services because we earn savings on time. That means dili ta madugayan, dili ta mali. So therefore, we pay for the time savings. So we can say time is also a currency. Okay? So I think that's quite clear. Na? That means I want you to think of value as a form of currency. Okay? Now, why is it so? Because value must always be equivalent to your currency. Okay? So what currency or value do customers get from this? So for example, Canva. Okay, among all those currencies, what do you think is being offered by Canva? So we pay Canva, no? But in return, what currency or what value do we get from Canva? Okay, so it can be convenience, or in other words, if you are not an artist, you can be an instant artist. If you're not a graphic designer, you can be an graphic designer. If you are wanting to publish something very, very fast, time savings, you don't need to spend an hour or so. Spend 20 minutes, you can create your own already poster, or you can create your own presentation very, very fast. So time is considered what Canva is offering to us, right? Effort, no? Less effort. Okay, Messenger is offering to us time as well as communication needs, relationships. No? Grab is convenience. Okay, time savings, yeah, honesty, also transparency, and of course, very common. Why do people line up with the Lotto outlet? Okay, so what currency do they have that they offer, or what value do they offer? So the luck, no? The promise of one day my cash will become 3 times or 10 times. Okay, kasi mo daw sa Lotto. Okay. So, if you look at the major players, okay, they are actually offering value. Now, the value can be quantified as cash, or it can be in the form of goods, services, time savings, reputation, right? So Canva is also offering reputation. Now, if you use Canva, and then you will have a reputation that this is a very good engineer, a very good teacher, because he is able to implement and create stunning presentations, stunning posters, right? And of course, energy. So instead of cash, Canva, instead of getting cash from Canva, we are getting energy. That means we are putting less efforts in creating our presentation. And therefore, okay, this energy savings that we get from Canva, that is equivalent to a cash that we have to pay Canva. Or you have to, if Canva is free, nobody is free actually. Canva is actually using our data in order for it to target more customers. Okay. So again, nothing is really free in the internet nowadays, right? Okay. So currency or value, okay, our value can be related to a currency. And we have the concept of the legibility of currencies. Now that we know what the value is and what's it equivalent to a currency, it's now high time to introduce what is a business model. So a business model describes how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. So that's why we introduce value, because a business model is a model that describes how you, as a startup, how Andana, how Trax, okay, how SafeTag is able to create, deliver, and capture value. Okay, so in economic, social, cultural, and other contexts, that means how do you generate value? How do you generate the currency, be it in the form of cash or health or savings and energy? So, not just to say that all startups are creating value. value for their customers. Therefore, a business model is a model in how are you going to create, how are you going to deliver, and how are you going to capture value. So the process of business model creation is also known as business model innovation and business strategy. In other words, from two keywords, no? Business model innovation, how do you innovate the business model? And then how do you generate a business strategy? Now, so to say all startups are just experimental. So therefore, our business model is not yet established, right? It's a trial and error. It's an experiment. So therefore, if you're going to create your business model, there's no one sure way to do it. It's actually there's no correct method yet because it's experimental. And you can only do that if you execute and validate if your business model is good or not. Okay. So you're creating something that's not done before. Okay. Flavors of Bukidnon is trying to create a healthy, efficient, healthy drinks, no, or snacks. Okay. So Trax is able to innovate something that wherein our cargoes can be tracked. So in that case, these are experimental products yet. Okay. Or if you have done it, already deployed it, it's not yet fully known how the system works, how the operation works, how our profit comes in, how our business is being done. It's not yet fully known, right? Unlike ordinary business like Jollibee or Mang Inasal, the business is already known. Okay. So business model is a model on how you create, deliver, and captures value. So think of the word, no? Create, delivers, and captures. Okay. So ano can I capture value? So you'll see that later on. So we have different business models so far, no? So if you are a manufacturer, you manufacture your goods. If you are a distributor, you distribute it. If you are a retailer, somewhere I see mga sari-sari store, no? Mag-retail sila product. If you are an aggregator, there are a lot of startups that connects, no? I mean services, you aggregate it. E-tailer, so retailers in terms of electronics, so we have Shopee, Lazada, okay. Then we have franchise, bricks and clicks, freemium, subscription, software as a service. So instead of buying a software, you just subscribe to a software and use it as a service. And of course, a marketplace for anything under the sun. So ang pinaka brick and mortar, pinaka common is manufacturer. So these are found of original manufacturers like Sony or Samsung. They produce your products. So we have different business models for different business types. And sometimes confusion comes because for different types of businesses, you should have established different methods and models. No? But as a startup, it's very difficult to come up with a model because you haven't have created something yet, right? I mean, these are experimental. Okay. So innovative people, like in the startup world, created what we call simplified modeling of business. Okay. So in the olden days, before you can do the business, you will need to have an MBA, no? Or you have a degree in business or accounting, then you need to be an MBA in order for you to create a startup. But not all of us is able to go to this route. No? And it's really not that necessary to have a degree in business before you can do a startup because, in a sense, this is experimental. This is innovation. Okay, but of course, people have created what we call simplified business models creation intended for startups. So we have two business model canvases that's quite familiar. We have the business model canvas, BMC. This is coming from Alexander Osterwalder, okay, the founder and creator of strategizer.com. Oh, he is the father of business model canvas. However, a guy from, I think, sort of like an Australian, I think it is Ash Maria, actually, but in reality, he's an Indian. He found out that the business model canvas is quite complex for startups. So he created another business model, another canvas known as the lean model canvas, no, from Ash Maria. So all of these are the very common business canvases that are being employed, right? Okay. Now the question is which one to use for a budding startup like you guys. Well, I'm going to use Business Model Canvas, BMC from Alexander Osowalder, or I'm going to use Ash Maria's Lean Model Canvas. Okay, so that's the question. BMC versus LMC. But if you look at the contents, they are quite similar, no? With just a few difference. Now, the BMC, this is, I think, the most popular from strategizer.com. This is used to visualize and communicate a simple story of your business model. Right? But you can use this canvas to design new business models, whether you are a startup or an existing model. So pwede po dahil siya for existing business models. Now, let's go through the brush through of the contents. So at the center of the business model canvas is your value proposition. And I do hope in the previous cohorts already, you have generated your value proposition canvas. So this is the central part of the business model canvas. And on the left side, okay, we have the key partners, key activities, and key resources. On the right side of the value proposition, we have the customer relationships, channels, and customer segments. And at the bottom portion, we have the revenue streams and cost structures. Okay. So for further information, you can go to strategizer.com, and this is well explained there, the in-depth discussion of the business model canvas. Okay. Now, however, they found out that the business model canvas is actually for the later stages. Okay. I think usually business model canvas is quite tricky because of the key facts that it has key partnerships, key activities, and key resources already found in the model. Okay, so you need to understand now, you have now to understand who are your key partners, who are your key activities, and who are your key resources. Now, usually, as a startup, who among you here, let's be honest, no? Do you really have your key resources already? Do you really have your key activities? Oh, so some have key activities, creating their drinks, managing the websites, no? Okay. Now, do you have your key resources? What are your key resources? You are your supplier, your service provider, your human resources, your customer, your marketers, no? And si Ma'am ganiya, yun siya ang CEO, siya ang marketer sa tanan. No? So, BMC is usually for later stage because this is usually answered when you are already in the marketing phase. So who among you here is already in the marketing phase? Nagabaligya na. Okay, so some, no? Some is even have a customer, but I think majority, yeah, Rabbit Jerkies already have a marketing phase, right? Okay. So I think for those who are already in the marketing phase, you can now get or formulate your key activities and key resources, but not all, right? Centropics, yeah, chocolates po. Okay, so that's one. Okay, so BMC, although quite good, usually applied, sometimes because of this advanced features that is required, the tendency is in our students also, the tendency is they will invent who are their key resources, what are their key activities, and invent what are the key partners that they have. And do you have a customer relationship already? That means, do you have an established connection with your customers, right? That's the key customer relationship. How do you maintain your relationship with your customers? So, for example, Netflix, they maintain their customers by offering them promos, offering discounts. Do you offer discounts to engage customers? So I think that's not yet in place, right? Okay. So because of this fact that BMC is for the later stages, Ash Maria, okay, a Indian, it's actually based in US, created the Lean Canvas, which is the simplified, or in other words, improved version of the BMC. Because of these limitations of the BMC, Ashmore created the lean canvas. And if you look at the lean canvas, okay, instead of having the key partners, key resources, what they have is the problem, the existing alternatives, the solution, and the key metrics. But at the central portion of the lean canvas is still the unique value proposition and the high level concept. So central po, like BMC, lean model canvas or LMC, central to that is the unique value proposition. The single, clear, compelling message that states why you are different and worthy for your attention. So as I said, aside, if you look at BMC, it's the value proposition, but in LMC, it's the unique value proposition. When we say unique, what it makes you different? What makes you kakaiba? No? Because if you have the unique value, then this is a compelling reason for customers to come to you. That means the churn rate, or kumbaga, a good startup, a good product is something na ginadugok, no? Ginapilahan, ginaatuan. Okay? So, in order for your customers to go to you, you must be able to have that unique ingredient, that unique something, that's X factor in you that customers are getting from. Okay, so you're offering something that the customers cannot get elsewhere. It's something unique, right? You can, the only one that could offer. Okay, because that's what a startup is. Something that's quite unique and innovative and is not the usual, right? So what is it that you are offering? So central to that is the unique value proposition, but on the right, on the left, we have the problem and your solution, as well as the key metrics. And on the right side is your customer segments, your early adopters, your unfair advantage, and of course, how you do your channel. But if the bottom portion is still the same, we have the cost structure and revenue streams. So if you're going to compare this BMC with BMC, what was exchanged was the key partnerships, the key activities, the key resources. This was replaced by the problem and the solution. And of course, the customer relationships and the channel was replaced with unfair advantage. I mean, the key customer relationships, since usually most early startup doesn't have customer relationships yet. So this was replaced by unfair advantage, something that cannot be easily brought or copied. Okay. But on the end side, we have the customer segments and of course your early adopters. So your customer segments is also added with the early adopters, the list of the characteristics of your ideal customers. Okay. Now, among the two, of course, Lean Canvas is much more appropriate for those starting out, just one of you. So the take here is we always start with the Lean Canvas. And if we already have traction or we already have tested or validated it, on the later stage, we now introduce our business model canvas. Okay? So let's go to the Lean Canvas model on a deeper sense, right? So the first part is, of course, the right part is the problem. So to fill in the business model Lean Canvas, sorry, you'll have to list down your top 1 to 3 problems. Okay. So we're going back to the flavors Bukidnon, the list of 1 to 3 problems. One is, I think, so I'm just assuming this, not correct me if I'm wrong. There's no alternative for healthy drinks in the market. That's one, right? It's very difficult to obtain healthy drinks. Number 3, okay, it's there are only a few, okay, only a few that offers something that's quite natural, sugar-free. You will not get diabetes, okay, something that's healthy in a sense. Okay, so that's the problem that's, I think, so am I correct? No? So flavors of Bukidnon or Bukidnon experience is experiencing. So Andana, for example, is what are the 3 problems? Maybe it's difficult for parents to teach students early learners of reading. One, there's no one simple method, that all-in-one method for parents to use in order to teach kids how to read and write. Okay, and then another one is it's very difficult, no, to teach our kids, no, how to read and write. Okay, because I think I'm not a teacher, so I'm just an ordinary. Maybe I don't have the skill, no, or I don't have the flashing of a educator or a education graduate. But I want to teach my kids how to read and write. So you have to list the top 1 to 3 problems and put it there. No? And of course, for the problems, there are existing alternatives. How do the problems being solved today? So, patanggalin mo na siya sa existing alternatives. Okay. Okay, so there's a question. Will this be attached to our application UST, and will we use this as your lean canvas format? Okay, so Centropic, I think usually the OST is using the BMC, right? Business model canvas. But I'm not saying that we will not use BMC, right? But I'm saying that you should start with the lean canvas first. Because when you already have your lean canvas, it's now easier. You just add on more features on the lean canvas, and that will become the BMC. But that to say, in the DUSC topic, I think they use the BMC. What I'm saying is that I think if you're going to use lean canvas, the crafting of the business model is much, much more easier for startups, right, rather than the BMC. So early adopters, that's what I always talk about. What are our pain if they are willing to pay or use our value products or an app? Yeah. So early adopters, these are the first point of contact for your business. Okay, but anyway, we'll talk to that later on. So then we will have the solution. Outline a possible solution for each problem. So if you have the problems from 1 to 3, then you outline the question. So this is a one-to-one correspondence. Now, how will I solve problem number 1? How will I solve problem number 2? And how will I solve problem number 3? So these are the solutions that you get. And then we have the key metrics. That is, list the key numbers that tell you how your business is doing. But in reality, key metrics is something like, when we talk of value, diba? When we talk of value kanina, value is similar to cash, but there are also other values like efforts, time. So in key metrics, this is actually the benefits, no? Did my customer be able to solve their problem? How did the problem being solved? So that's one. If it's inconvenience, less time is effort. So you put the key metrics. Our solution gives you much more, lesser effort, lesser time consumed, less costly. So that means in key metrics, it's more of the value, not in the form of currency, not in the form of cash, but other forms. Like, did I get more relationship? Did I get a healthier body? Did the customer get savings in time? Did the customer get a social reform, or did the customer have a good social standing? No, so then think about social status also. Okay, Starbucks, for example, is not just offering coffee but also offering something like a status. Wow, pa Starbucks na lang. So social, no? So it's a projection of the image of a person. Okay, so the key metrics is actually the numbers, no? Savings in time, savings in money. Okay, lesser effort. So can we measure the effort? Yes, maybe we can, right? So key metrics is a list of how the problems are being solved correctly, right? And of course, that can be converted later on into cash, right? Now, of course, at the center of the BMC is the unique value proposition. So as I said, the single, clear, compelling message that states why you are different and worth paying attention, right? So it's not just the value that's being offered that's similar to your customer, other competitors, but what is it that is unique and new? So for example, we have Netflix, right? Netflix is a streaming service. Okay. What's unique about Netflix? So one is they have a top 10 recommendation. Another one is they have an abreast of what's the trend. And of course, they use data to determine what are the movies that you are offering. So Netflix is just not a streaming service, but it's somewhat like intelligent, di ba? Because it detects what's your preference. And then, di ba, when you go to Netflix and you check this, there's a preview and then nakababa ba, this is, we think that you will like this. Okay. So how did Netflix knew that you already want this kind of movie? That is because of the data that they record from the past and from the other resources. Actually, they are scouring your social media also to determine what types of movies are you playing. So what's unique in Netflix is that it's not just the value proposition is they give you movies, streaming services. But what's unique about them is that they have recommendation and they have the intelligence that they will recommend to you that these are the movies that is uh, being offered that I think we like. Okay. And aside from streaming services, of course, Netflix also gives us savings in time and also kanang pagmahay, di ba? How many times have you watched a movie you spend 2 hours? 2 hours, no? 2 hours. You have a movie, you watch 2 hours and then you will realize na, oy, bati, man tayo itong palabasa di ay. Sayang akong 2 hours. So that means time. Time is a currency, right? So Netflix is trying to make you avoid that by suggesting to you movies that we think that you like. So in that case, when you go to the services of Netflix, then I will have a savings in my time. Diba? Usually when we do work, mga working people, the weekend is a holy grail. Don't mess with my weekend because it's too precious. And then kuan pa nagduha ka oras, 2 hours sa bati ng movie. Nga di na ako nalingaw. So people hate that. No, it's a pain. Okay. So the unique value proposition, it's not just offering service, but what's unique in you? What value that's quite unique, separate from the other customers, right? Then of course we have the high level concept. So it's just a tagline. Huh? Okay. So for example, YouTube, this is the Flickr for videos. So I think each and every one can already have the high level concept, right? Nato yung ganiya, Airbnb for travelers, I think. See, if you go back to Andana, we can make it as something like LMS, no? High level LMS for the untrained, something like that, or Canva for teaching, Canva for teaching reading comprehension. So that's the high level concept for the Andana. Okay, so good thing is that the high level concept is just a sort of like a moniker on, or in other words, is a tagline that will make the elevator pitch as simple as possible, right? One sentence to encapsulate your value proposition, your unique value proposition. Then, of course, on the customer side, we have the unfair advantage, something that cannot be easily brought or copied. So that's the difference between monopoly and commodity. No? When we say commodity, they are all common. Like, for example, toothpaste. If you're going to enter the market of toothpaste, what are the unique value that you're going to offer to the toothpaste? Shiny teeth, fresh breath. So it's already common. So, but if you're going to say, I'm going to offer a toothpaste that will make you as beautiful as possible, or as you brush your teeth, your skin will also lighten. Okay, that's a unique advantage. Okay, so something that cannot be easily brought or copied. So there must be something unique on you guys. No? Then, of course, your channels, use your path to your customer. Okay, so that means you can use web or you can use brick and mortar store, or how do you deliver the value? Huh? So there must be a path. And then customer segments, list out your targets and users. Again, this is another topic, called customer segmentation. Now, not all customers are the same. It can be, your customer base can be divided into segments. And we have what we call beachhead market. Beachhead's customer, those customers that can be easily reached. But it's quite good if you could have 2 or 3 customer segments being targeted. Okay. Then, of course, as I said, early adopters. List the characteristics of your ideal customer. Okay. So, sirs, Crit is a Filipino version of TikTok. Yeah. So, high level concept for Crit is TikTok for Philippinize TikTok with a Filipino flavor. That's the high level concept for Crit. Okay. So, Early adopters is also quite good. You'll have to identify your early adopters because not all customers that we target are all our early adopters. Early adopters are those customers that are willing to buy your product, even if the value is not that clear. Okay. So anyway, there's another diagram for this. No, the we call this the customer life cycle. But of course, the first contact is your early adopters, your very first customers. Who are they? How do you describe your early customers? It's not your majority, but your very early point of contact. Baga. So you need to understand them. Who are they? What are their characteristics so that they can target it. No? So here in the early adopters, you list the characteristics of your ideal customer, right? So it might be moms who are busy no, for andanan, uh, for TikTok, the youth or fancy uh, middle age or old mothers or old fathers that are bored in life and they want to have a social life. So that's the how do you describe your early adopters? No? Okay. So it's up to you, right, guys, to describe the characteristics of your early customers. Now, of course, at the bottom portion is we have the cost structure or list your fixed and variable costs. That is, how do you create value that has costs? How do you deliver value that has costs? Marketing, um, selling, no? Your rent, no? Your manpower, your salaries, and then your revenue streams. This is the bread and butter. List your sources of revenue. How do you generate income? Be it from subscription, be it from pay as you order, or be it that in terms of advertising, they say that's a very lousy one. So nobody wants to advertise to you, use you as an advertiser if you don't have a customer base. So list down your revenue streams. Okay. So examples are of this Airbnb. So what are the problems? Looking for a room to rest when hotels are sold. Okay. And for the buyers, earn extra cash by renting a room in your house or apartment. And for the seller, okay, for the buyer, you are solving the problem for looking for a room to rent when hotels are sold. And for the seller, earn extra cash by renting a room in your house or apartment. Okay. So these are two problems, both for the buyer and the seller. And what's their solution? A marketplace that connects guests with the host. So this is Airbnb, right? So what's their unique value proposition? For the seller, it could earn extra cash. And for the buyer, find an alternative to hotel rooms. Okay. And the key metrics, okay. Your business is doing good if you have guest nights books, the number of listings, and the number of searches for the buyers. So you can say that the problem is being solved if you have these numbers. So let's say, did the problem of looking for a room when hotels are sold being solved by our solution? How do we know it? Because we check the number of guests that have booked. So in other words, it's a metric that understands or measured that the solution is being used to solve the problem. Okay. Then for, of course, the existing alternatives, we have hotel rooms, couch surfing, staying with friends. So even that's not conventional. Then can only rent out an entire apartment. So that's for the seller for the alternative, existing alternatives. So it's quite important to know that existing alternatives, because this is also a gauge on what the customers is doing now to solve the problem. Okay. So it's not that you just create something, a solution that's solving the problem outright. You have to also analyze unsa man ginahimo karon sa mga customers to solve this problem. Maybe ang akong solution di na nila kinahanglan kay katong ilang ginahimo karon wala may bayad. So tendency di na nila paliton akong solution. Okay, so think of the existing alternatives. Okay. Now, if you look at the unfair advantage, murag blank. But anyway, one thing of the unfair advantage, I think, of Airbnb is that you can, in terms of the seller, it gives me a method wherein I can rent out my place without going to the hassle of advertising it. So it's the Airbnb that will do it. And for the channels, billboard, online ads, and words of mouth. Okay. And the customer segments, we have guests and hosts. And of course, early adopters. Travelers are learning events or convention. People with extra rooms, they are willing to rent. So these are their early adopters. No? So those are the people that they assume, no? Because this is just a model. So this is what we are betting on that will be our first customers. Then we have the cost structure. So website, advertising, people cost, and the revenue streams. Okay, booking fee. Okay, so that means for the seller, they will pay to me a certain percentage of the fee that they will get from their customers. So simple with that. Another example is Starbucks. Okay. So the problem with Starbucks is that's a problem. People have few choices for fleshy brewed, high quality coffee. But I think now we have a lot of choices already. Na? So solution bring Italian coffee addition to the US. But again, today Airbnb has transition, Starbucks has transition. It's not just sipping coffee, but a place for you to unwind and the day and to socialize. Okay. So it has transitioned into multiple value propositions. And the high level concept for that, McDonald's for coffee. Okay. Now, cost structure, people in retail stores and revenue streams. Coffee, 3 pesos per cup, so direct sales. Coffee beans, 10 peso per bag. So those katong wala pa na timplahan, $10 for bags. So you can see the lean canvas, I think, is much more easier. Not if not easier, no, you are much more apt to fill this up because at this point, these are all assumptions, and the assumptions is quite not risky at this point in time. No? So in other words, the lean canvas is not riskier, not full of assumptions. It's more on the reality. Okay, now why lean business model instead of BMC? Another angle is that we always go to the three lens of innovation. For any innovation, your startups are actually creating innovative products. So it's a great innovation. We talk of startups are innovators. We innovate. We offer them unique values. And an innovation can be considered true innovation if we have these three factors in line, or we call this the three lens. We have desirability, which is for the people. Will people desire the product? Okay. In other words, desirability, what do people desire? And then, of course, the feasibility. What is technically feasible? That means people desire your product, but can you deliver your product? Do you have the right people? Do you have the right technology? Do you have the cost structures to implement this? Basigo niya, ang inyong promise sa customer is just murag lisod diay mo on fairy tale lang. So that's feasibility. Is it technically possible? Is it doable? And then, of course, the third one, ang pinaka-important, I think, is business viability. That means, we will have profit. At the end of the day, will we sell and then generate profits? Not just for operations, but also for you. Profit margin in order for your business to grow. And as I said, as a startup, we are targeting international. We are not to be contented with millions. As much as possible, go to billions. We can, right? So business viability. Now, this three lens is actually be a gauge, a North Star for your business to be, or for your startup to be considered an innovation. And strikingly, if you go to the risk level, what are risks? So when we do a startup, we are taking a risk. Okay, we are creating a product, something that can be sold, but there's no customer yet. So therefore, we are risking our ass out. My adventure ko, I will take the risk. So I'll put my effort, my time, my money, my emotions to my product so that I can offer it to the customer. So therefore, I'm taking a risk. Now, will the customer buy it? Will the customer pay for it? At the end of the day, will my effort be not futile? Will I be rewarded in the future because of this effort, monetarily, socially, and then, of course, emotionally? Okay, so they're taking a risk. Now, when we talk of risk level, the less risk is desirable. So that means This is the first risk that you're going to tackle. That means, will the people desire the product? Then the higher risk is it viable? That means, I'm taking a risk wherein I'm assuming that my business can be done and can be established within a period of a year or so. And the largest risk is, of course, the largest risk. Sorry, the second risk is it will people buy it? Will people uh, pay money for it? Will I be profitable? Malaba ko yung ganansya. And the third risk is feasible. How to maintain my viability? How do we continue operations? So that's the third risk. Okay. So we're taking a risk. So therefore, the lean model canvas, okay, or LMC, is actually also a gauge on how to measure your risk level. What are the risks that you're taking out? Okay. Now, the lean canvas can actually be divided into three categories or three parts. No? So the unique value proposition, the high level concept, key metrics to solution, this is actually a gauge or a description or a model of your desirability. Will the customer desire your product? So from here, you should craft this so that at the end of the day, you will have a very desirable product. So you will fill in the lens of desirability. Now, how do you craft the feasibility? Am I possible? Is my technology feasible? Can this be done? Okay. And that is being answered by the unfair advantage, the channel, and the customer segments. And of course, the third one is viability, business model viability. What are my cost structure and what are the revenue streams? Okay. Okay, so three lens gyapon siya. Kumbaga, if you use the lean canvas, you'll be able to gauge if you are desirable, if you are feasible, and if you are viable. Okay. Now, how do you feel the LMC? There's a right way and there's a wrong way. So sometimes when you fill in the BMC, LMC, asa mo una? Is it the unique value proposition? Is it the problem? Is it the unfair advantage? Na they order, no? Okay. Let's guess everyone. Fill in the chat box. Which one do you do first? Pinakauna i-fill up. What do you think? Is it the customer segments? Is it the unfair advantage? Is it the problem? Is it your solution? Unsang pinakauna i-fill? Problem? Yeah. Traveler, problems? Okay, we have two votes for problems. Centropic says problem. Notrigo says problem. Andana problem. Okay, all problems, right? Right? Yes. Value proposition. Rabbit jerky. 1 out of 4. So rabbit jerky is the first opposer. He says value proposition instead of problems. So traveler says problems. Centropic says problems. Notrigo says problems. Andana says problems. How about the others? What do you think? Is it the problem that we will go first? Okay. Sit in. Or is the rest still on the chat? Or still in the call? Okay, target market. Itago is target market. Okay, target market. Where's target market? You're referring to customer segments, no? So Itago. So Jules Mercado, problem first, sir. Okay. So majority is saying problems, right? Okay, so let's get the real answer. So actually, the first one is your customer segment. Okay, you cannot find the problem if you cannot identify your customers first. So that's the first one. No? Who are your target customers? And once you know the target customer, you need to analyze what are their problems. Okay, so that's the first one. No? So list your target customers, and so in design thinking, I'm an advocate of that. The first thing you have to do is, of course, find a problem. But before you can find a problem, first you have to find who are the people that you're trying to get problem from. Okay, so it's always list your target customers and users, followed by the problem. So I hope you cannot formulate a problem and then this problem will find your customer. So it's the other way around, right? So go to the people and then find their problems. Okay, so that's the first one. So list your target customer followed by your problems. Okay. So kinsa ang who did it right, no? Target market. So congrats for Itago, Rick. So it's the customer segments that we'll find first. Who are the people we are targeting before we go to the problem? Okay, because once you know the segments, then you identify the problem. Then of course followed by the unique value proposition. Okay, that means from the customers, what is the value that they are after? Okay. That means if there's a problem, the solution or the benefits to the problem is the value that you offer to them. Savings in time, the currency, right? Savings in time, savings in effort, savings in cash. No? So the clear, compelling reason that turns unaware visitors into an interested public. That even if the unaware, when they will realize that I need the value that you're offering, then you are solving my problem. Okay, that's the third one, right? Before we go to the solution. Okay, so sometimes from the problem, there is a solution. No, we have to identify the unique value proposition first. Is our solution valuable? Does it offer value? And then we craft our solution. And then, of course, the fifth one is the channel. List your path to the customer, then followed by number 6, the revenue streams. Then number 7, the cost structure. And then we go to the key metrics. Okay, and then we have the unfair advantage. Some things that can easily be copied, right? So it's not obvious, right? No? Now, as I said, most of you did it wrong, right? The most unusual, the wrong way. So this is the wrong way of filling up the lean model canvas. First, they outline a possible solution. So we call this the solution bias, or the creating a product or service first before finding a customer and before finding a problem. So this is the wrong way. So solution centric. I have an idea, I have a solution, I will find a customer, I will find a problem. That's bad. And then from the solution, they create a unique value proposition. Okay. And then before they can find the problem, quite bad. No? So a sample of this is I have a very good, for example, an app that is high tech using AI. Okay, so what's my value proposition? It uses artificial intelligence that can solve the problem of the customer. And what's the problem? Yeah, it's the one being solved by my solution. So nabaliktad, right? 1 to 2. So that's the wrong way. And then sometimes before finding the problem, they go to their customer. So it's a problem that finds a customer. Okay, so it's the other way around. Get our customers, then list your problem. So it's a way to look at it. Lean Model Campus is a model. It's a step-by-step process also. How you create your business, how you structure your business. So there is a step. No? First, find your customer, then get your problem, and then formulate your unique value proposition before you can get the solution. Okay. So that's why Ash Maria developed the Lean Middle Campus, because of these methods, or because of the pitfalls. Now, there are the top pitfalls in LMC. So when you do the Lean Model Canvas, these are the pitfalls. One is innovator bias. That means the second one is scoping the right jobs to be done is obvious. And the third one is the business model validation, or the business modeling. Okay, so these are the pitfalls that we have to watch out when filling in your Lean Model Canvas. First one is the innovator bias. As I said, when I asked which one to fill in first, so some say problems, but majority of those starting out, they fill in the solution first. And innovator's bias means, wow, the solution is great. According to me, I love this solution. So I'm biased to this solution. So I'm afraid to pivot. So hard-coded ang solution. And when they found the problem, okay, when they have the solution, they go to the other steps, like they find a problem, they find a high-level concept. Then once they have the solution, they find a customer. So it's something like a startup that has a solution that finds for a problem, that finds for your customers. Okay, so don't do that. No? So that's innovator bias. And the good thing about innovator bias is the lack of humbleness to pivot. Because our first solution, our first hypothesis usually is not the correct solution. Not it's even if a solution that is not solving a problem, it's even not our final solution. Because all you have to do is first customer segments, then find their problems first. Okay. So innovators bias means invent or fake problems to justify solution. Okay. So who is guilty among here? Okay, don't just raise your hands, no. But I think some of you are guilty on this. No? We invent or fake problems to justify our solution. So Juice Mercado says this is applicable if you are creating a new solution to the problem, diba? If someone has proven the solution works, you can then just copy the solution. Question na lang, sir, is your solution usable and sustainable? So Juice Mercado, okay, this is a very problematic problem. Okay? So we call this the commoditization. Okay. So if you're creating a new solution to a problem, if someone has proven the solution, it works, you just copy it. So the answer is no. You can copy, but make it better. Better, much more valuable. So in other words, copy and build upon it. Okay? Or other way around, create a new solution that's not done before. Sometimes it's not obvious, right? So yeah. Because if you just copy a solution, you become a commodity. Good example is the toothpaste, right? Ang toothpaste, when you enter the toothpaste market, you'll be competing with Colgate, you'll be competing with Pepsodent, you'll be competing with Close-Up. So, unsang labanan there? Wala. It's pababaan o presyo. Pababaan ng presyo. You're going to make it lower. And when your model is like that, nobody is the winner. You are all loser. Okay? Okay, so don't be afraid to charge, guys. No, I mean, don't be afraid to charge money, because if your value is so great, the money is out of the question. People is willing to buy it as long as it solves their problem, even if mahal siya, right? Actually, the more expensive your product is, the better. No, not the way around. No? Because we are value pricing. Right? Okay. So, if you do this method wherein you identify the problem and offer a unique value proposition, you don't invent or fake the problems, then you will avoid commoditization. You will create a value that people are willing to buy, use. Okay. Itago says, applicable sa accidental discovery or invention. Yes, no? I mean, it's not accidental. It's something that you guys is going to discover. So that's why we have what we call customer discovery. No? That means you formulate the problem, you formulate your ideal customer, but at the end of the day, you really need to dig in and identify. In other words, discover. No? So I think it's not accidental. No? You cannot say accidental. It's something like you have dig before. You are sort of like a detective that tries to figure out what are the problems of the people. So it's not accidental. It's an effort, man. You have put an effort. Right? Okay. Yes, you have to pivot. So pivot is a thing. Always do the pivot. So it's really not bawal ang mag-pivot. No? It's okay to change from time to time. And that's what startup is. We are agile. That means if we see that this is not working, shift right away. Right? Save time, right? Okay. So I've always talked to you about pivot. Yes, Juice Mercado. Pivot will be the great thing. Okay, now, there we are. So that's the first pitfall. No? Invent or take or fake problems to justify solution. No? So in other words, you'll have to fill in the problems, the existing alternatives, and the customer segments and the early adopters first. So if you look at this four side, we can actually define this as the linear canvas. No? Natay lean canvas, napod tayo linear canvas. That means it consists of 4 cells. We have the problem, existing alternatives, customer segments, and the early adopters. So actually, this is the first one that you're going to fill in the lean canvas. Okay? What are your early adopters' top 3 problems? Who is the customer? Diba? Nauna si customer segment, diba? And how do they solve the problem today? So you guys also understand if ginaunsa nila pag-solve sa problem. Are they doing something about it or just leaving it behind? Or okay na lang because nobody is offering a solution. And then, how will you qualify or identify your early adopters? Your early adopters are your first possible customers. So these are not picky customers. No? They are actually one having a problem that's so painful that they're willing to embrace your solution. Okay, so that's the early adopter. Okay, now the next pitfall is scoping the right jobs to be done is obvious. Actually, it's not. So this is pitfall number 2. Okay, so how is it? No? As I said, si Itago, no, and the word pivot. No? Pivot is quite related to this because when we fill in, when we create our solution, or when we formulate our startups, we find the problems we find the customers first, then we identify their problem, okay, and when we identify the problems that we find usually are the obvious. Diba? How among you have want to getting the problems that are obvious? Okay, so traffic or some beverage. What are the obvious problems? They don't have an alternative in drinks. They don't have an alternative. They don't have a method to store their equipments, store their goods. No? So therefore, when we do our problem hunting, the thing that they found out is we sometimes become too lazy, and the fact that we go for the obvious problem. Kani ang obvious problem. Kanigit. Problema gini nila. May problema gini nila. Now, as a startup or as a founder, it's not just we go for the obvious. We dig deeper. Baga, pangitaon yun dito at the bottom line. Because multi-billion problems are not the obvious problem. Okay? They are not the obvious. They are the problems that are hidden that people or no product has not identified the solutions yet. Okay, so Itago says accidental discovery, product una, aya ang user. So magnetrons, high power vacuums that generate short radius from microwaves when accidentally discovered. Yeah, they have their microwave cooking. Okay, so that's exceptional. No? How the microwave was invented was through accidental discovery. That at the time, microwave is not yet existent. Yeah. Okay. So but today's standards, I think everything seems to be discovered, but majority of the problems are hidden. So Gora is a solution of my problem as backpackers travel in Southeast Asia. Gora is a go-to rural mobile app for travelers seeking authentic local experience. Okay, good. Gora, no? So your solution is not just a modern travel app, but it's a solution for backpackers, no? Backpacker travelers seeking for authentic local experience. So the keyword there is the unique value proposition. So you're getting authentic local experience. So that's one. No? So I think Gora is digging in that it's not just travel, but the non-obvious problem that is whenever we travel, we don't get the authentic local experience. So that's one leverage. So good for you, no? So that's the non-obvious, the authentic local experience. The obvious one is I want to travel and go places. Convenient and easy, but the bigger one is authentic local experience. So good for you, Gora. No? So going back to this is scoping the right jobs to be done is obvious. Actually, it's not. Why? Because the problems are usually hidden. It's not obvious. So a good example for this is the Theodore Levitt's saying that people don't want a quarter-inch drill, but they want a quarter-inch hole. Okay, wow. So this is my favorite because according to Theodore Levitt, this is the holy grail for customer discovery or finding solution. People don't want a quarter-inch drill, but they want a quarter-inch hole. So the ways to the means or the means to an end. Okay, kumbaga. So when we talk of products or service, people want to use the product, okay, as a tool to solve their problems. So people use the products or services to solve their problems, and therefore they have experience on it. Now, when you're going to buy a drill, what's your objective? Simply, you want a quarter-inch hole. But according to Theodore Levitt, people don't want a quarter-inch drill bit. They want a hole. So, see any problems? Okay. See any problems? What do people want? When they buy a drill, what do they want? So, they want a hole. But is this the only way to create a hole? You can have a nail or a jackhammer or even a kutsilyo, pwede na, right? Okay. Something to catch the debris. Yeah, that with jerky. Okay. So the immediate problem, this is what I say, the immediate problem is creating a hole. Okay. This is the immediate problem. They want something that could create a hole. They want something that will eliminate the debris. Okay. And once you have created the hole, it will generate a future problem. Okay. So the obvious problem here is people wants to create a hole. That's why they buy a drill. So similar to your startups, what's your immediate problem or what's the obvious problem that you are solving and your solution? Okay, so similar to here, people wants a hole. So what's the solution? A drill, no? A drill. So using a bit and a drill. So the problem is drill bits break. Okay. And to make the solution much more better, make a stronger drill bit. Okay, so this is the obvious problem. Mo break ang drill. And 40% stronger drill bit made out of titanium. So that's your solution, your ultimate value proposition. Okay? So people want a hole. Their solution? Drill bit. But drill bits are prone to break, so make a stronger drill bit. So that's a unique value proposition. Create a drill bit that's stronger than made up of titanium. So you invented something that's quite unique. Okay, I mean, much stronger a drill bit. Huh? Okay, so you concentrate your effort developing a drill bit that is stronger, right? But people don't want a quarter-inch drill bit. They want a quarter-inch hole. So who are the customers? People. They are too broad. So if you try to squeeze them out, the homeowners. No? And what are the problems of the homeowners? Do they want a hole? No. What they want is a desired outcome. So for homeowners, they don't really want a quarter-inch hole. What do they want? Okay. Do people really want a hole in their wall? Gusto ba nila hole in their wall? So you have to search for the bigger context. Do people want a hole? Hole lang ba ilang gusto using drill bit? So in a bigger context, okay, you have to understand the wants and the needs. So the needs are the features and benefits that you are offering to your product and the desired outcomes that the customer wants. So the concept of wants and needs. The needs is the features and benefits, but the wants is really what's the desired outcome. So the first one is the drill bit is usually used to drill a hole, right? The problem was, how do I create a hole? So use a drill bit, a drill. Okay. But at the end of the day, why do we need to drill a hole in the first place? Because we need to secure a hook. Pwede ta mabutang ang hook. And why do we need to have a hook? Because we need to hang a painting. Okay. And why do we need to hang a painting? I mean, Why do we need to hang a painting? In order to beautify our homes. So therefore, if you want to hang a painting, do you need a hole? Pwede man nga 3M, no? Butang na lang tayo tape. Pak, pak. And when you butang with tape, okay, solved. You don't need a drill anymore. You don't need a drill anymore. You just need a packing tape or a 3M strong tape. Okay? Okay, so therefore, the problem now is still the same. Initially, we talk of the problem is people needs to have a hole. But in reality, people needs to hang something in their wall. That's the problem, right? Not the hole. Not to create a hole, but hang a problem. Now, why do they need to hang a painting? Because people just want to decorate their homes. See? You see, the obvious problem was how to drill a hole. But the non-obvious problem was that people want to decorate their home and they have find it hard to decorate their home. So this is the obvious problem, drill a hole. The non-obvious problem is showcase artwork. So if you showcase artwork, do you need to drill? You need a drill? Do you need to drill a hole? Okay, Samsung have created what we call the TV that will translate into something like a masterpiece or ang TV mahimo siyang painting. So they can do that, right? Or just beautify their own using stickers and everything. So in this case, the drill is no longer in the picture because eventually what the customer wants is just to beautify the home. Okay? And why do they need to beautify their home? In order to express themselves. That means enjoy the art. So eventually, what the customer really want is enjoy the art or beautify their home, not to drill a hole. So that's the essence of what we call problem scoping. That means the solution or the problem is not obvious. No? Sometimes we are so fixated on the obvious problem that we forget to dig in what is the non-obvious problem and the moneymaker problem. Right? So that's why in the lean model canvas, you need to understand or look for the unique value proposition and look for the problem that is not obvious. Okay? So kumbaga, when you do the shortcut, you put the problem, but is this the right problem? So you need to dig in, the non-obvious problem. So the problem here, initial problem is drill a hole. How do they create a hole? But the final problem is how do you make customers showcase artwork in order for them to enjoy art or make their house look beautiful? Eventually, it all boils down to emotions. So the takeaway here is that think of you instead of thinking of you or your product. Okay, so we are all product circuits. I love my drinks. I love Andana. I love Traveler. I love Gora. I love Antana. I love my Centropic, my application. I love my rabbits from Third Jerky. I love Nutrigo. It's gonna say Nutrigo. Healthy and snacks, no, for fun. So it's all about you and your product. Now, have you tried to understand your customers and the jobs they want to do? Okay. So maybe we are just thinking on us and the product. We didn't feel or understand what really the customer wants. Maybe it's not just drinks that they want. They want something that they will make it look beautiful or go beyond what is obvious. No? So initially now you have products and services, but have you dig deeper on what really customers wants? And you can look at that on the jobs they want to do. What are they trying to accomplish? Okay. And this is where wants and needs comes out. No? Needs is functional, what they want to do, but wants is what do they feel about when they answered or they solve this problem. Okay. So lean model canvas actually gives you a method wherein you could understand your customer and the jobs they want to do, and you are not product centric or concentrated on it. So in other words, takeaway here is don't make a better drill bit, make a better homeowner. Did this ring a bell? Okay. Don't make a better juice or a beverage, make a better person, a healthier person. Don't make a better travel package, make a better traveler. Don't make a better provider of storage. Make a people enjoy storage. Okay. So I think, and I can go on and on for all startups here, right? For packet protein, the rabbit jerky, no? Don't make a better rabbit jerky. Make a better consumer of rabbit meat. Yeah. So that's what we are trying to do. How can I make a rabbit consumer enjoy more? How can I make a rabbit consumer satisfy his wants and needs? I'm not limited only to rabbit jerky. Maybe I can put something in the rabbit jerky wherein customers will enjoy more. And those are the non-obvious problems. And this is where we're going to dig in. Okay. Okay. TikTok is a non-obvious problem. Facebook is a non-obvious problem. Yeah. Google is a non-obvious problem that they try and solve. And they didn't go to the obvious. They dig in. Okay. So that's what startups are all about, no? So the bigger context is where you find new spaces for innovation. So that's why we are into pivots, right? Okay, now the third pitfall when you do the lean model canvas is this is where business model validation or business modeling. So assumptions. So that's why this is where business model canvas usually fails. They do a lot of assumptions. That means they invent key partners, they invent key activities, they invent key resources rather than finding. So you guys, your job is really not to theorize and invent partners or key activities. You really need to dig in and identify, okay, by looking at your customers. So that means we sleep with our customers. We sleep with our customer. We try to really understand our customers. Okay, so the entrepreneurial method is that we do the model. You start with a business model. We start with the lean business model. And then you prioritize. That means you fill in your lean model canvas. And then from your lean model canvas, you try to tweak. Na? Cambio-cambiohan to. You change your unique value proposition, you change maybe your customer segments is not the appropriate one. Small steps. No? And then this is periodic, cyclic. And then you have to prioritize, identify what is the riskiest. That means when we say riskiest, which one of you, these boxes, we say, when you identify the riskiest, okay, which one of this box do we feel that we just formulated? It's not validated. So if it is not validated and it's difficult to validate, okay, try to find something that's true and real. And so therefore, you will reduce your risk. So some things like lean canvas is actually a method wherein you limit or you minimize your risk. Because in a startup, the risk is so large, but there's a way wherein you minimize the risk by validating each of these boxes. When we say validate, make it real. Don't use it as an assumption. And how do you do that? Again, you go to our customers. Okay? Okay, let's go. Continue. And once you prioritize, you test it. Test and refine the model. So again, as a startup, we don't have the resources, we don't have the finite technicality. So, papaspasay na pa-lean. Kumbaga, may tao nimo ang least effort, least risk for you to go to your customer. Okay, yeah, travel experience. Okay, now it's your turn, guys, no? Build your LMC and BMC. Now, I will not discuss business model canvas because there's a link there, Strategizer, but actually they are almost the same. And there's a website wherein you can even view the video. But again, I do the lean model canvas because this is much more appropriate for early stage startups. Because here, you're going to find a problem solution, and this is much more kumbaga, good for you guys. No? So, again, your lean model canvas is not a one-time deal. It's cyclic. So you can have 10, 100 canvases, lean model canvas, as you go along your startup journey. And it's always on pivots. Now, thanks to Gora, no? It's always on pivot. You always tweak who are your customers, who are your advantage. Over time, this will change. So that's why it's continuous cyclic, discovering who your customers is, discovering what their real problem is. Again, the problems that you have now is the obvious problem, I say. I think you need to dig deep. Which problems kaya ang sub-problems ang maka-generate of thousands and millions of dollars for my startup? And if you can find that, then you are offering a much more unique value. No? Now, how do you assess your business model? Okay, once you have created your business model, how do you test it? So of course, you have to validate it. No? And it's cycling. So this is the last topic. No? The one thing I use when assessing the overall startup is the KTH innovation readiness level from this website. So we call this the KTH innovation readiness level. So it's a metrics, a number between 0 to 9. Okay, and you use a bar. It will identify your customer readiness level, technology readiness level, business level, readiness level, IPR, team readiness level, and finding business model. So just go to this website. It's a Creative Commons. The good thing about this is you can have a metrics on how well your business is. However your startup is. Okay. For example, customer is on desirability, team is on feasibility, business readiness level is on viability. Now, we are talking about business models, so we're going to use the BRL, the business readiness level. So your business readiness level has 9 levels. No? First level 1 is you are hypothesizing a possible business concept, little knowledge or insight into the market and competition. So that means all is hypothesis. Then in 2, first possible business concept desired. Okay, identified overall markets and same competitors and alternatives. So you have already validated the first part, no, the problem and the alternatives. And as you validate, you adjust your business model canvas. Okay, you let your market potential and complete overview. So, and as you go along, okay, validating your business model, because you can also rate yourselves. No? Am I in BRL3? Am I in BRL4? Am I in BRL7? So, for example, if you are in the BRL7, you have a product market fit and customers are willing to pay and you attractive revenue. That means you have already spotted your key channels. You have already spotted your beachhead market. You have already spotted at this level, BRL7, you have already find the problem that really needs to be solved. Not the obvious problem, but the real problem that people are really experiencing and that people are willing to buy and use the solution. Okay? And eventually in 9, the business model is final and is scaling. That means at this level, you are already selling, you are generating revenue, you are now ready for Series A or Series B investors. Okay? So be assess yourselves which part are you are. Are you in 1, 2, and 3? Okay. Okay. So for more information, and okay, I mean, I'm ready for questions, still have time. And for more information, these are the resources that if you want to go deeper into the lean model canvas. Okay, so I'll give this to you. And of course, BMC is on Strategizer, and of course, the readiness level is on ATS Innovation Index. So, I think that's already too much of information. I do hope you get something out of the session. No? So one takeaway here is the problem is not always obvious, and you really need to dig deep. And to do that, to validate that, you need to do the model canvases. In the models, okay, we have 2 BMC and LMC, and use this in order for you to convert your fairy tale. And say fairy tale, at this point, you have a problem and you have a solution that you think that this is the solution and this is the problem. But in reality, you'll need to dig in, find the real problem, the non-obvious problem, and check if people are really wanting your solution. And to do that, you do iterations. And the model to be used is you can use LMC, the lean model canvas, or the business model canvas. But the business model canvas, I do advise that you do it on the later stage. Go with the lean model canvas first. Okay. And for more information, you can have this. Okay. So I'm open for questions.
Yes, James?
Hello, engineer. Good morning. So I have
Morning.
a question regarding the early adopters.
Yes.
We've tried interviewing people kasi. And I feel like we're just quite limited to our network. And that
Mhm.
I feel like that limits like who we talk to, maybe where there's blind spots we're not actually seeing. Do you have any recommended ways to get in touch with potential early adopters? And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. So this is a very tricky problem, no? And there's no definite answer to your problem. In other words, there's no methodological answer to that. Step one, step two, step three. But what I can see to you is that have you already did an MVP? Did you already deploy the product or tested it?
Yes, po, engineer.
Yeah. And how did it turn out? If there are metrics, are they going to go back to the app? Are they waiting for something more, or are they willing for second? We call that the second a repeat customer. That means are they willing to go back again to pay you for the experience, or not, or one time deal?
Right now po kasi engineer, what the RMVP is just the planning part pa lang, and
Mm.
this is just uh like to and value add lang siya in the future because right now it's just I'm thinking that it's just an entryway to the booking part which hasn't been developed because we don't have the customer base ganun.
No.
Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah.
So this is what I'm seeing from Traveler. I mean, you are in a phase wherein you are still developing the app, diba? And then try to look at it. So what I can advise you is try to create a minimal version of your app and try to deploy it to persons already. I mean, uh, if you are targeting backpackers or quantum, so try to give them something like this is what usually others are doing. They give a premium or something that's quite easy to get. So masking katong mga apprehensive na attract sila kay free. And that is where actually nothing is really free. Premium is just a way wherein you pay me the what do you call this the your time and effort and your patronage so that I can validate if this really works or not. Okay, so it's not free actually. So it's you're giving something your time, your effort. So for travel apps, since you are still developing, so I do discourage something like dapat this app should contain this app should contain that, this should contain that. You're putting features in your app. You don't really know that these features are to be used by the persons themselves. At the end of the day, turn out it's discouraging because they don't really need pala this app. So as I said, your tricky question is how do we connect with our other customer base? So there's no one step method, but really, you really need to deploy at least a minimal mal and then test. No? More sort of like scientific method. No? You do an experiment. So do this, give them this app, check if the response is good or not. But if the response is not or not, you can actually now gauge na this feature is not. So at the end of the day, you'll be saving on features. You're not developing something so perfect that eventually you develop 10 features only to find out that only features 1 and features 2 is needed by your customers and these other features are not. So it made you a lot of time. So my take for you is I think just any advice for this, any of this cohort here, really try to create an MVP, then try to deploy it to your customers right away. And it's okay if the sales are not good or not because as early as now, mas nagbad ang sales, better rather than dito na spend mo millions or thousands only to find out it's not selling. So the answer I think is try to deploy, okay, and see the response of the system. And that is where you will also discover the other segments, no? Other segments, because as I said, sometimes the other segments of your customers are really what do you call this? Come out of the blue. No? That means that is the time only that they will be coming out. I still have these other segments of customers pala na I didn't think before. Right? Okay. So I think that's the answer, no?
Yes,
For your
another
question,
question
Traveler James.
from Van.
Fine.
Sir Van.
Goravan. I think this question.
Hello, madungog ko. Hello.
Yes, yes, sir.
Maayong to.
Ayun,
Ah,
Otto.
salamat kayo engineer sa ako dili siya direct na question engineer but you can go along sa I will go with a story about how Gora developed. So
Okay.
I think siguro sa uban po nga mga startup makakita sila ani how I started uh, building MVP, the MVP. So nakabalo naman as you've known that I am passionate backpacker. Kunya, ako ni siyang problema ang how to go to the authentic destination.
Mhm.
And then, dili man ko tech, dili ko coder. So, nag-imo ko ang Facebook page na group of backpackers o mga tourists nga ganahan sila mag-check out o mga content nga authentic nga mga rural hidden. Karon I've tested na-test na it's the Facebook group now growing na 100,000 kapin nga mga members. And then naay lang nga mga tuk-tuk driver, mga bao-bao, mga tourist guide, mga hotel, nag-onboard sila dito kay once na ay mag-looking for ingani nga mga tourists nga they are asking for something information from the local and then local into mag-comment sila doon sa ilang post. So I found out na flooding ang Facebook post. So among gi-filter nga ang maka-post kato lang magbayad sa amo nga mga na-verify na mga sila gid ang tinuod nga host sila. Well, so gikan na nga MVP sir nakita na mo nga na ay potential nga we can make Facebook group nga 100,000 kapin nga members into Gora app nga yung value we can offer and dali nila i-search kunya with their own interest nga ilang gusto sila ang mag-arrange tanan sa ilahang kaniang tour o sila ang that's what we are giving value to those traveler who prefer to their own experience in traveler. Kaya sa travel, it's very important to have your experience and memory. Kaya mong malalaman.
Okay. So I can really get your question. Kumbaga, good for you. No, I congratulate you that you have done the MVP and you did a validation through a Facebook page, right? And there must be likes and what they call this signify intentions, no, to use the app, for example. From that's the metrics that you can get. But real world scenario is that customers sometimes they tell you that you like it. Customers will say, I will use their app or something. But at the back of their minds, they are all wait and see. Kumbaga, I will commit to you today, but not 100%. Okay, so there's an apprehension because they are trying to survey if the value that you offer is really the value that I need. Okay, so there's no one tricky way to do it, but of course, good for you. You did the Facebook deployment, and they signify intention, but signifying is really not enough. At the end of the day, it's always the business viability. That means how can we really know that the customers are really willing to use our product and services? One is if you have solved their problem, the non-obvious problem, and the most wala nagilalis nga method or metrics is quote bulsa, right? If the customers are really getting their pockets and then give you the money that because I enjoy the app or because can see value to your app. No? So yeah, in a day, sometimes the caution that Facebook or other metrics, likes is not a validation actually. It's just an first step to the possible number of customers that will use. But ang pinaka main validator will always be the revenue streams. That means they like your product, they like your solution, but the question is, are they willing to pay for your solution? So that's one. And another thing about was Zagora, so forgive me, no? Good thing that your unique value proposition is on you are targeting the local experience, no? Because whenever travelers go, they lack the authentic local experience that they are seeking. All of us are wanting that, no? When I want to go to Paris, I will go home, and from that, I will refresh what is Paris, what is the culture of the Paris. I have experienced that. That is what the ultimate travelers want, right? Yeah, everybody wants that. Now, but again, we have that's the desirable lens, right? But we also have the feasibility lens and the viability lens, right? So in the feasibility, is it possible? I mean, for you guys, are you be able to provide the local experience authentic? So that means this will entail additional efforts, additional funds, additional features in your app, right? And will the additional features, will the uh, local experience equate to something like more revenues, more income, right? Okay. So what I'm saying that today is also, I caution you also that sometimes it's quite difficult to really solve what the customer really wants ultimately. I mean, it's costly for you. Now, it's nice to solve it because they will buy it, but look at your team also. Okay, are we capable of developing something like ultra local experience? Imagine, well, personal experience, you'll have to consider the booking, you'll have to consider the provider, the locals, right? Logistics na siya eh, di ba? Now, nice to have, but in terms of viability, okay, okay lang ba nga gidagdagan nato yung aning feature pero mubayad ba sila sa impostor? So it's okay not to really do the actual local, but concentrate on one portion that is doable. At the same time, at the end of the day, guys, it's always the money. That means that's the value that you give them will equate into something that the customer will give you back. Okay? So okay lang na siya. I mean, as I said, experiment kita atong start out. No? It's always an experiment. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Right. All right. So any more questions from the group? Napa?
Okay.
Okay. Wala na. Murag wala na, Sir Jug. So, magkuan sa ta, photo off sa ta. Let's open our cameras. Ay, Sir Jugs, pa-unshare sa ko sa screen. Thank you.
Stop share. Okay.
Okay, so Ivy, please go open sa cam. Iara, Nap, Sir Rio. Nakuhaan. One. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Again, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Sir Jukes, na ipangutana si Sir Van, how to connect with you daw.
How to connect with me? Through CDO Bytes or through Facebook. Yeah. Always connect with the CDO Bytes and I'm always there.
All right, so
we
thank
can
you so much.
You can directly message me sa Facebook if you want to. Okay.
All right, so thank you so much, Sir Jubes, for making the complex and overwhelming frameworks easy to digest. So to formally express our gratitude, we would like to present our certificate of appreciation. Proud to present to Engineer Jugenis Pascua, MSCA, for imparting his valued insights and expertise as a research speaker during the Firestarter Learning Session 2, Lean Canvas, and BMC. Under CDO Bytes Firestarter Incubation Program, held virtually via Zoom on January 23, 2026 from 10 to 12 noon. Given this 23rd day of January, okay, mawala na ko. January at USTP, again, the RCP. Signed by our very own TBI Manager, Branch Maverick Laurelia, Engineer Alex Mariel, the Vice Chancellor of Research, Innovation, and Extension, and USTP CDO Chancellor, Attorney Janelle O. Albina. Thank you so much, Sir Jugs.
Hey, you're welcome as always.
Yes. Always good ginatap.
Yeah.
All right,
And I
thank
do
you, Sir
hope
Jugs.
everyone had a great time, no? Although forgive for that, maybe some of you are overwhelmed, but I do enjoy, no, sharing information with you guys.
Okay, thank you, Sir Jugs. Bye-bye. So a short announcement. So our demo day is on April 17, 2026. And our next learning session would be on January 28, 2026, Wednesday, still 10 to 12 noon. Market sizing, competition, competitive landscape, and competitive analysis. Also, nag-send na ba tahan? Wala pa ba? Asa, we have a speaker feedback form. So every session, mag-send me og feedback form for our speaker. So na may chance to rate them. So I think maura man siguro na. So this has been your facilitator, Elaine Joy Sacoso. Together with me is Miss Hannah and Miss Mary, saying thank you and have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Okay.